Stop scrolling. You believe that you have already watched all the great sci-fi films available on Netflix? You haven't. When the world continues to rewatch the same blockbusters, Netflix already has some crazy sci-fi films in the depth of its collection. The one that has mind-uttering time tracks, gloomy dystopian futures, twists far more lethal than anticipated. Today we are ranking 10 science fiction underrated movies on Netflix that you possibly missed. And believe me, wait till 1, as that one ought to have been a world sci-fi hit. Let's jump in. 10. Tau, 2018. To start with number 10, a slick, claustrophobic thriller, Tau. Think Ex Machina is an encounter between a high-tech escape room. Micah Monroe plays a street-smart grifter kidnapped by a sadistic genius and locked inside his futuristic smart home. It is not that the man is the villain, the house itself. Everything is controlled by the AI. The film is merely a sort of psychological chess game between a desperate human and a learning machine. It is not a perfect story, but the neon-filled, indistinct graphics, the breakneck pace, and the never-ending mind games make it tight and involving. 9. Warrior of the Future, 2022. In position 9, we scale the visual pleasure right up high with Warrior of the Future. This Hong Kong science fiction is an epical that shows Hollywood has not monopolized big-budget CGI. The plot is simple. In the Iron Man tradition, a huge alien plant collapses on Earth, and the only people who must stop it are a group of soldiers in their mech suits. That's it. That's the movie. What you are not going to find here is a serious Oscar-winning story. This is raw popcorn eating adrenaline. Watching these heavy mechs destroy an alien apocalypse will make you love Pacific Rim or Aliens. Switch off your thinking cap, turn up the volume, and watch the performance. 8. Paradise, 2023. This is the 8th in the list, and one of the most awful and scary ideas we are introduced to here, Paradise. It presents as a nightmare version of a Black Mirror episode, a German sci-fi thriller. It is a place where time is money is a reality. It's literal. One of the hugest biotech firms has developed technology that will enable individuals to give years of their lives to another. The wealthy purchase immortality and the poor have to pitch their future away so that they can live to enjoy today. Max is our protagonist, and he operates within this system and convinces desperate individuals to surrender their years. But the karma strikes a blow when his wife faces being pushed into the position of his slave to pay 60 years of her life to manage an insane debt. She is changed in one night to an old lady when she was a young woman. The beauty of Paradise is that its world seems too real. Every scene quietly raises uncomfortable questions about inequality, choice, and morality. It is secretive, tense, and very uncomfortable, and that is likely the reason why it went unnoticed. 7. Spectral, 2016. Spectral is loading firepower at number 7, and this one is sci-fi gold. This is a hidden jewel of a sci-fi action movie before Netflix began the passing of its originals on a weekly basis. The combination of Ghostbusters and Aliens is a think Black Hawk Down. A scientist of DARPA is dropped into a city at war where US special forces are being killed by an unknown adversary. They are not dealing with rebels, they are battling with some kind of ghosts like abnormalities that can freeze the soldiers at first sight. Bullets go through their bodies as they do not seem to make sense. What is unique about Spectral is its approach to a supernatural menace as a hard science one. It ends with the last act concerning the soldiers suit up with full sci-fi gear and destroy a power plant, which has all the video game energy. The design of the creature is truly frightening. The tension is created to the idealistic point, and the military strategies seem to be real and natural. Spectral is a film to watch in case you are a fan of military sci-fi with heavy VFX and no filler film. 6. ARQ, 2016. At the 6th position we have ARQ, a small film, which has a huge concept. It is a time loop thriller, all but set in a single apartment during violent home invasion. Our protagonist passes away, and immediately she begins to wake up on the first day of the same morning, repeated again and again. Originally, he is only struggling to survive. However, he gradually presents the realization that the loop is joined to an experimental machine that he has invented. As he resets, he recalls new things, discovers concealed betrayals, and starts seeing that the repercussions go far beyond that apartment. The only difference is that what ARQ manages to accomplish in such a small area is what makes it work. The archetype of the same rooms was the same people with different decisions, different result, and there was always a feeling of escalation. ARQ is a time loop movie, albeit at a smaller scale, that, should you enjoy time loop movies such as Edge of Tomorrow or Source Code, will occupy your time well. 5. Oxygen, 2021. When you think life is getting worse, when you have to wake up in the same nightmare time and again, just appreciate that you wake up without remembrance, without escape, and your supply of oxygen slowly draining away. There we have number 5. Oxygen is one of the most claustrophobic sci-fi thrillers on Netflix. The film is based on the story of a woman who awakens in a coffin-sized medical pod with no recollection of who she was or how she had arrived at this location. The only fact she knows, her oxygen is wearing off. And fast. She is totally isolated, closed inside this pod. The only person there is a cold, unemotional AI system. Each of the questions she asks is the new fragment of a puzzle, and each reply makes the situation even more frightening. The intensity is what is in Oxygen, which brings a lot of tension within such a small space. Melanie Laurent gives it her all, and the movie runs on pure panic, fear, and desperation. And as soon as you believe that you have figured it out, the story throws a twist that just sends everything you have been watching into a tailspin. Oxygen is a must-watch in case you love single-location thrillers such as Buried or 127 Hours with an intelligent sci-fi touch. 4. In the Shadow of the Moon, 2019. The fourth of the entries in this list is the most complicated. In the Shadow of the Moon. What initially begins as a dirty serial murder detective turns out to be something that is much mind-blowing. A detective in Philadelphia starts to track down an elusive female murderer. He eventually locates her. The killer dies, and as it seems a while, it seems the end of the case. Then she returns to her. The same murderer will come back after 9 years and repeat the same cycle. He will be the same, not old. With each twist of the mystery, the detective becomes more and more obsessed that gradually starts to wreak havoc on his life and around him. The reality itself starts to tilt. One of the virtues of this film is that it unfolds in a very patient manner. The sci-fi aspects remain concealed under a detective's drama that makes you as perplexed as the main character. And when the truth at last dawns, the why and the how and the price of it all, it sinks. And in case you enjoy Looper or Predestination, the first, then a mindbender, the second, with a mystery first and a mindbender second, then this has to be put on your watch list. 3. They Clone Tyrone, 2023. The final 3 movies on this list are the most fashionable and distinctive. The movie They Clone Tyrone. In 2023, Netflix silently canceled this masterpiece, and it is a crime that more people are not discussing it. It is a genre-crossing 1970s blaxploitation funk, dark comedy, and sci-fi conspiracy of the highest order. The movie traces the lives of 3 unlikely heroes who are told that they are victims of a huge conspire that involves experiments on human beings. They come across an underground government laboratory that is literally cloning human beings to control the population. The text is stinging and comical. Jamie Foxx gives one of the most humorous performances of his career, and John Boyega does the terrors of several versions of himself with horrible accuracy. It has a big Stranger Things feel retouched with a rather dark, more gritty palette and mean social commentary. It is bizarre, wild, and one of the finest original films ever to be done by Netflix. 2. I Am Mother, 2019. At number 2, we have a film that will make you question the future of AI parenting. I Am Mother. The world ends with humans, and a young girl is brought up underground in a highly technological bunker by a robot named simply Mother. This AI was created to reconstruct the humankind and elevate the ideal human being. And for the girl, Mother isn't a machine. She is a caring mother. Such a thought is rattled when an outsourced wounded woman makes an abrupt entrance, saying that the robots are not salvaging the humanity. They are the cause of the end of the world. Since then, the movie is transformed to a sadistic game of trust. The effectiveness of I Am Mother lies in the fact that it is so grounded. It is not a CGI robot. It is an actual workable suit created in Weta Workshop, and it makes every encounter eerily real. It is a conflict not played out through action, but ideas, control, parenting, morality, and what good actually is when an AI feels like it is saving humanity at any cost. It is a patient, insightful science fiction movie which has a grim, disconcerting climax which lingers with you past that final segment of titles, and one that Netflix simply lost too many on. 1. What Happened to Monday, 2017. And, last and first, we are pleased to have What Happened to Monday. a film that would have been a sci-fi must-see all over the world and somehow has failed to be. In a dystopian world where people are forcibly governed by the one-child policy due to gross population overcrowding, a group of parallel septuplets is made to inhabit the same identity. They are all called by the names of days of the week and are only supposed to come out on their own days, all playing to be identical. Monday is out on Monday, Tuesday on Tuesday, and so on. Within the apartment, they are allowed to be themselves. On the outside, they must do an impeccable performance or they all are killed. And one day, Monday does not come home. At this point, the film transforms into a high-velocity thriller as the other sisters attempt to make sense of what has occurred to her and her secret remains a secret. The action is brutal. The stress does not subside. And Noomi Rapace acts as all 7 sisters with enough distinctions that it does not even occur to you it was the same actress. It is the type of film that must have been a massive word-of-mouth sensation, and yet Netflix simply dropped it and left it there. Watch this film on the list in case you watch just one. Thus, this is a list of 10 underestimated sci-fi films on Netflix that you likely missed. There are time loops thrillers that are very small, and larger, sleek, and sophisticated mysteries of conspiracies, one of which will suit all sci-fi fans. Thanks for watching. In case you have discovered your next favorite movie, then like and subscribe to get more videos. We will meet in the next one.